Okay, all the way back in December 3rd, 2024, we had this piece of news that said adding granular control options for who can respond to Google Forms. So what does that mean for the Google Form user? Well, essentially now there's going to be a publish button here instead of it automatically being accessible. And you get to decide who to publish syncs. Now that might sound excellent for the front end user who can then have more control over who's going to be shared on these forms, but there was some problems in the development side of things. So it seems to be a bit hit and miss with Google at the moment whether or not the API is going to be built in conjunction or updated in conjunction with these front end releases. Which is a bit frustrating because right now we've got some breaking changes because of this publish button and we have no way of working around them because of that. Now I want to illustrate what our problems are, and I'll do that with something I've faced recently with some clients. So oftentimes I have a project like a Google Sheet that has a Google form bound to it, and then that sheet becomes a package or a template, for example. And whenever that template is required, it's duplicated and then the form is ready to go to be released. Now, oftentimes users aren't 100% certain how to get to the form, or we want some autofill with some cells inside the sheet that we can do by calling the form's URL and then adding in cell information as well, so the user doesn't have to fill out everything, or they have a starting point for ranges. With this new change now, the publish button, with the publish button, it means that the user of these templates doesn't realize that the form is not ready to go, which can be frustrating. So let me explain what I mean here. Okay, we've got a Google Sheet on the right hand side here. Let's drag this across a little bit so we can work on it a bit better. And what we'll do is create a new form. Now, alternatively, you can create a new form and connect it. I'm trying to do something quick here. So we will call this, okay, got it. And right now, we're just imagining that we're creating a template for a client. So silly little form 4, and then we'll just go location, and this will just be a key template word that we'll go in and change a little bit later. Don't need a form description. We'll just say you ready for today. I'll make that a yes or no. Yes, no, maybe. Oh, maybe. There we go. Cool. All right, so now that we have the silly little form set up, we don't have publish ready to go. And because this is a template, there's no point us publishing this at the moment until this is duplicated for the user. So right now, if we go back to here, we can see our form responses has been added, which is great. All right, so now typically, before this change was in place, this form is currently live and ready to go. And if we hit File, make a copy. So let's just make sure this is in a good location first. This in some test or something. Let's open up the folder. I'll title this, call this silly. Also call this silly. Cool. Okay, so we've got these two ready to go. Great. So we've got our two silly items here. Let's create a new folder called silly. And we can see it up there. So we're going to move those by selecting them and moving them into the silly folder. Cool. All right, so we can make a copy of this by going here, make a copy, and of course going into Drive and hitting make a copy as well. So let's use this approach, I suppose. We could go make a copy. Copy of silly, that'll do. Now, oftentimes when I'm setting up a template, we will programmatically make a copy of this. This allows us to also capture the form that will be generated as well. So we have a look at our Drive here as it's being built. We can see that the form is built, and then we should also get sometime in the not too distant future, hopefully, maybe, we'll see. You know what? What's the bet? It's been added to Drive. Yeah, it's been added to Drive. You monster. Okay, move. Yeah. Okay, could be an artifact of just us copying here at the time. All right, cool. So that should be there now. All right, so we've got the two items here. So that's classically what the user is going to duplicate the files. Okay, Gemini add. Okay, so it's going to make a copy of the files, and it's also going to duplicate the form as well that's attached to it or bound to it. Now, the next step typically is the user will open up and they'll go through a build process that will build out this sheet and the associated form. And that might mean that the form template, which we'll open up now, and we'll just close these ones down. This will be replaced with a custom location, maybe some information on the sheet will explain what that information is, and then a piece of form information is built. Once it's all built, it's ready to go. It's ready to meet the public for them to be able to use. The problem is we haven't got anything in our API that says publish at the moment. It's not in the Form Advanced service, nor is it in the Form App API either for Google Apps Script. So even though we can grab the form URL, which we can do with this, I suppose, let's go into App Script. And we could say const ss equals spreadsheet app, get active. Then we want the const sheet, I think it is, equals ss dot get sheet by, why not? Let's do ID for a change. Means I have to find the ID for the form, which is this one. Bink, here, copy, put that bad boy in there. And then I think it's form, so const form URL, I think, is sheet form, get form URL, there it is there, magic. Okay. Nice. And then we could say, let's go sheet. This is, we would be putting this form URL into this sheet here, maybe under here, for a link for the user. Link to sheet. And then it also allows us to pre-fill a few things too with some other cell references. So let's just quickly do that. It doesn't take long. Sheet, get sheet by name this time. Sheet 1. And then set value, oh no, get range is A1, we do an A1, A2, we crazy, A2, there we go, crisis averted, A2, and then set value, just a single value here, which is going to be the form URL, hit save, bang. Okay, and we'll go ahead and hit run. This could be a menu item or a button on the sheet. May have to go through authorization, I'd imagine. Yep. Review permissions. Continue. Okay, so there it is there. There's our URL. Now, typically, our users or the person running this form that we've generated for them should happily be able to open this and get the active form. We're sorry, this document is not published. So now our clients are freaking out because they don't have access to the published form. Okay, so they can indeed go to Manage Forms up here in Tools and go to or Edit Form or go to Live Form. Again, if they go to Live Form here, they're still going to face this error. So they will have to go to Tools and Edit Form and head to Publish. So the problem is this is now, we're trying to provide a solution where we're creating a series of automated steps for the user where they just have to complete the bare minimum, but now there's additional physical steps that the user has to take that weren't there before. Now this might have been okay. I mean, it would have been a pain for the developer, me, to update this with a publish API, but at the very least, I could have handled this for the user, and so they could have that easy flow of state. Because our whole goal is to automate things, make things simpler for the user, improve their processes, and save them time. Now we're adding time density to their project and other issues that they have to try and face, and context shift and all that sort of thing, which is a real pain. Okay, and just to prove my point, let's just go into Forms App. Add in an S there like a monster. Okay, so we can see here, it should by rights be in this Form App section. Now, someone in a group I'm with also mentioned it could be in Drive permissions, but it wasn't as well. But if we go Publish, there's obviously nothing in Publish here. And there's nothing in Publish here. So we've got Pub. It tells us that the published URL is this, but we can't set the published URL. Is published summary? Yes, but that's about the sum of all we have. So this is just a heads up of what's going on. As of this date, I don't believe there is a feature request for this out at the moment that everyone is signing on to. Let me just double check that for you though. And if I have time, I'll try and add one in myself. No, it doesn't look like there is a feature request. So if I have time today, I'll try and put that in, and then I'll add the link in the description below to a YouTube video just with this information on it. How about that? And I'll probably put a link in the Twitch channel too for you guys as well. Nice. Right, let's just close that. All right. So we've covered that. Let's move on to some more news.